Welcome to the Women's Success Collective. I'm your host, Tina Dowdy, and I am a transformational business and mindset coach. This is the place where women are meeting to gain confidence, clarity, and the mindset to grow a business that you will love. Today's guest is Joyce Lely. Joyce is a mindset coach, a creative strategist, and artist. She helps multi-passionate creative women manage mindset for independence and freedom in both personal life and in their work life. Joyce says that she too often sees women with wonderfully bright ideas and a fabulous mind and beautiful dreams get stuck or lose their mojo or feelings or self-worth. She wholeheartedly believes that there is a way out of these shadows for everyone and introduces women to fun and easy and creative ways. She knows firsthand that there is a way out of these shadows and a way to rise back up after having lost almost everything. Joyce works with women on mindset that connects women back with their force, their fire, and their flow. So welcome, Joyce. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you, Tina. I am really, I feel blessed that you invited me, and welcome to everybody that is watching. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, I know you have this backstory that represents a woman that has reinvented herself and has had to take many leaps of faith. And
Yep.
So could you tell us a bit about where you're from and how you got here now as a mindset coach?
Yes, I will gladly share this with you. It does paint a picture. I'm an artist, so I like to paint pictures and I like to share stories. I will keep it short. I am originally from Holland, a small country in Western Europe. And in 1995, I decided to go in pursuit of a better quality of life. And I moved to New Zealand on the other side of the world. It's the closest country to Antarctica. So it's really the end of the world. And I moved to the South Island, to Christchurch, one of the big cities there, and started a new life. So that was the first big leap of faith, really, that I made. And it takes adjustment and getting comfortable in a new place. And it is exciting. It's an adventure. And it is also a challenge, you know. And we made our life there, my partner and I. We were together. And it all went quite well, actually. I had 2 kids. And we were making a life away from where I was born. And then in 2010, 2011, Christchurch was hit by a series of pretty devastating earthquakes that brought a lot of material damage, but also emotional damage, of course, a lot of things broken, and we lost almost everything we had. So initially, we thought of sticking with it and trying to rebuild ourselves there as well. The reality was that because of insurances and earthquake commissions and all that, the progress of rebuilding was very slow. And we took an offer of friends to come and visit them where they were living on the North Island. So we did that, and we thought, well, we took one leap of faith before, we can do it again. So again, we packed whatever we had left and moved to the North Island. So now I live in the Bay of Plenty. It's a beautiful area. The whole of New Zealand really is really beautiful. So if you've ever had it on your bucket list, I encourage you to come. But so I live in the Bay of Plenty in Tauranga and started all over again, really. But this time with the experience of having lost everything, you know, in the earthquakes, and also a bit of post-traumatic stress, you know, the memories, the experiences, the things that I've seen, and also the way I started helping fellow mothers and other women in my area with how I was coping with what happened after these earthquakes, you know, because you can see in times like that how different people react to certain events. And I was asked time and time again, how did I cope so well? So I started unraveling myself and also studying a little bit, reflecting within, like, what am I doing different, and what is different in people, you know, after experiences. How come some people manage to get through or over something a lot more easily than others? And so it started my deeper study into the mind and the mindset and what it actually does for us, how strong, how powerful the mind is. And yeah, so that's where really how I started to weave my creativity together with mindset work. And that is what I do now. Yeah.
That is quite an inspiring story. And I would be curious to know, where did you draw your strength from to get through all that? That's a lot of coping.
It is, yes. I think, and I know that my creative process and the things that I started doing, and I actually have always been creative, and I've always been painting and drawing and sketching and, you know, writing. The way I use my creativity and my art is that I find ways to make safe places for experiences and memories, if that makes sense. So whenever I have a heavy burden that I feel like I'm carrying with me, when I take time, you know, it's slowing down, it's reflecting within, it's really turning inside out almost, you know, you go reflect within and then create something that can hold that experience or that can hold that emotion safely for you. And so that you don't really have to, if you can visualize it as being something that you carry in a backpack that lightens the load for you, you know, so that you can more easily move forward. So it's not that you forget things, but it's that you place them safely so you don't have to carry them with you the whole time. It takes practice, it takes focus, you know, and that is also where I found and why I find that mindset is so important. If you learn to, I call it, manage your mindset monsters. If you learn to manage that mind of yours, then, you know, there's so much more is possible. But it's allowing yourself to take time to reflect, to get to know yourself so that you can find really the best way for you to archive those things, those experiences and the things that happen in your life. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you speak of fierce and fire and flow
Mm-hmm.
and being able to connect with that as women, can you dive a little deeper for those women that are sitting there that feel stuck and they're trying to figure out how to cope, and the struggle is real and they
Mm-hmm.
need to connect with that inner power? So can we go a little deeper about that?
Okay, yes. So I call my work the fierce female force. It is a little bit of a contradiction for some. They say female and force is like two opposites. I think that, well, female obviously is the woman. And I think a woman's power is really, really strong. So there's a force, I always go like it's like in your gut, right? That's where your force lies. That's where your core strength is. Like physically in a body, that is where core strength is found. But also emotionally, I think that is where your core values and your core beliefs lie, or reside. And so to focus inward and to find that connection with your true self, this life, what we live, is so busy and so fast forward living. You know, everything is instant and direct and immediate. But if you just step back a little bit and give yourself time to connect with your true self, I think a lot of people, or I know I found out that a lot of people actually know others better than they know themselves. So it's the starting to know yourself a lot better, starting to connect with yourself a lot better, what you believe, what you feel, what your ideas or your promises or your wishes truly are. You know, I meet so many, and I mean, I was there too. Like perhaps years ago, if you would have asked me, what do you want? I would have perhaps go like, oh, I might want to have that car, or, you know, something like superficial. But truly, truly want what you really, really want, that is a question that I don't think a lot of people ask themselves anymore. It's all so fast. So if you take that time and then find that connection within, that is where it's almost like a core thread. If you take a rope, you know, a rope is twined together with a lot of strands. There is a core, and that is the core that you want to find the connection with. That is where your force is. That is also where you find your fire or your passion, right? Your real passion, what you really want to do. Again, many of us live lives just because, you know, you go to work, because you need to pay bills, because you know, it's not a lot of people really truly pursue their passion anymore, like their true passion. So many people, you say like, if you could do whatever you wanted tomorrow, what would you do? 9 out of 10 give an answer that is completely opposite or different from what they're living. So that is, you know, that is the fire, your passion. And then if you combine, if you find the focus and you find your fire, your passion, and you connect with your force, your superpower, then you can find that flow, that ease, that gliding or floating or you know, yeah. It's like a boat or like a bird, you know, just ease. Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as fire being passion, and actually, I just want to step back a second because you spoke about the core before we go into the
Mm,
passion.
yeah.
You know, from an energetic perspective, our core self is who we are inside. It's our self-confidence, it's our motivating factor. So that's the place that the fire has to come from.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the women who are sitting there that are not feeling really motivated right now because they're in that place of limbo
Mm-hmm.
and they want to find their fire, they want to find their passion in order to use the force to get to the next step,
Yeah.
what would you say to them to help them find their passion because they're just not motivated right
Mm-hmm.
now?
So what I usually ask or discuss, or myself and others as well, you know, is like, find something that you really resonate with. Is it perhaps you go out into nature and just be still? Don't put in music in your ears, just enjoy the sounds that nature gives you. Like it's a forest, like my sister, for instance, she loves to go into the forest. I really like to hear the surf, the breaking waves, you know. So that really gives me, I can just sit there and listen to waves crashing onto the rocks for hours and hours. That really tells me, it starts to tell you a story. For her, it's the rustling of the leaves in the forest. Other people, they perhaps like to stir in a pot and cook a soup, you know. Just it's almost like, where do you find your meditative state? You know, I do meditate, but I'm not a huge meditator. Like I don't do it for long, like hours or something like that. I like to journal a lot, art journaling, you know, visual journaling. I write and I paint and I sketch and I layer my layers of emotions into my art journals. So art journaling helps a lot, but I also love to be in nature, especially along the coast, to just give me that fresh air, to feel in touch with Mother Nature. I feel like we're all balls of energy, so you need to find where your battery finds its energy to recharge. You know, so if you can find that, do that, and do that on a regular basis. So start there so that you can find that calm, and then focus inside. Focus to yourself inside instead of just constantly outward. Yeah. Yeah.
So it sounds like you're suggesting a mindfulness process that I know works really well. And it's first by connecting with nature. And what does that really mean? Connecting with something that's bigger than us, because when we're feeling unmotivated and in this struggle mode, we feel separate from everybody. We feel like nobody understands our problems.
Mm.
And we don't understand that we are literally connected to something bigger than just us. And so when we put ourselves out there, you start to see miracles. You start
Yeah.
of earth, of life.
Yeah.
And you start to realize you're really not alone, and there is something bigger, and
Mm.
it gives you the quietness. So I love what you're saying. We need that quiet to go inside, to just be, and
Yeah.
not be in the worry mode, to be at a higher frequency of gratitude for what's around us in that
Mm.
moment, and being grounded into the earth. So I really love that you're
Mm.
suggesting to be
Or keep a journal, right? Keep a journal. And I know that a lot of people, they go like, oh, but I'm not really an artist. And you don't have to be. You don't have to be a professional artist or really good at anything, you know. It is for yourself. That is also something. You do these kind of things for yourself, right? So if you want to start keeping a journal, the easiest way, and not very heavily onto your time, is that you can just write down before you go to bed the best thing that happened to you that day, the best experience, just the one thing, only one thing, that's all, you know. And that just makes you go to sleep with a good feeling. And when you go to sleep with a good feeling, you wake up with a good feeling.
Yes, journaling is so key into rooting that positive thought that you were trying to
Mm.
express, that we need to start journaling. And once we start getting our mind to that higher vibration of being positive, what would be the next step?
So then you're going to start to ask yourself the important questions, you know, like, what is it that you really, really want? What is it that you really, really want out of life, out of work, out of relationships, relationships with yourself, relationships with others? You know, what is it? I do a lot of mirror work as well. I don't know if you've ever tried that, but mirror work it holds enormous power. And when you first do it, it might sound silly or scary, but it is really not. You know, you just have to get over that first hurdle of doing it, you know, because I remember the first time I thought, well, this is just plain silly, you know, I'm not going to do this. But yes, so mirror work, asking yourself true questions, look yourself in the eye and ask yourself, what do you want out of life? What are things that you are proud of for yourself? And what are things that you will, you know, you say, it's okay that, you know, it's okay that certain things are the way they are, and you allow yourself to have flaws. I mean, you can be just flawsome. People don't want to be perfect like a plastic Barbie doll. You know, that's not interesting. Ask any artist, they rather paint a picture or a portrait of somebody that has, you know, character in their face, because it's a lot more interesting. You know, people are interesting because of the things that they've experienced and the things that they know and learned, you know, on the way. So yeah, you look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself these questions, promise yourself certain things, and do that on a very regular basis, and you will start to uplift yourself. See, the thing is that people that feel stuck or down or lost, they are on this downward spiral. And it's very easy to slide down a downward spiral. Going up is actually as easy. It's just that in-between phase that you really need to kick. Once you're in an upward spiral, and if you keep up your momentum, it's actually as easy to slide up, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's true, that pivotal phase that gets you up, and that's the momentum. And the more you make decisions that you're going to follow through, the more confidence you get. And the more confidence you get, the more action you take, and that creates the momentum. So that's perfect. So once we ask each other, ourselves rather, these questions that are just so important for us to ask ourselves, sometimes answers may come and sometimes they may not come.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we'll see that there's pieces of us that are stuck because there's a change that needs to be made in mindset, because something may be hurtful, or there's something that needs to be healed. And so I know you use a creative process for healing.
Yeah.
And this is a wonderful approach, and it's different than what most people have tried. So could you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So as I said, you don't have to be an artist to do these things, but you will start to get more enjoyment out of the perhaps, you know, when you say, oh, you have to do mindset work, a lot of people go like, oh, I don't have time for going all this deep and I don't really feel like doing that. But if you say like, hey, you know, let's do this little creative exercise, and you don't have to worry, it's not going to be a masterpiece that you're going to hang on the wall. It's just going to be for yourself, you know, it's just something. And then you can actually find that you will answer questions that you've been asking yourself, or answers will come out automatically while you are doing this, you know. So I've developed these exercises that are just, you know, to keep fun, because if you are not very good at something and somebody just suggests, oh, let's just draw a stick figure, you know, oh yeah, I've got to draw a stick figure, you know, you don't have expectations. And because there are no expectations, it's just seen as fun, and it's experienced as fun, and just having a good time. But then if you find out that at the end of doing this exercise, actually you have answered a question that was really difficult, or answers have just come out, you know. I mean, I can be art journaling, because don't get me wrong, those mindset monsters come up for me all the time still, you know, because we're always a work in progress. That's okay. You know, it's just that now I can recognize them a little bit more faster, and I know what to do to keep them in where I want them, you know, either to crush them, squash them, or lock them up. But, you know, I mean, they come up. It's not that you do it once and it's gone. But so if you can do a process, a creative process, and the next time you do the same thing, other answers might come. You know, you surprise yourself. It's like, hey, now I understand this part of myself a lot better. Now I know what to do with it to keep it in its place. You know, so it's layering. It's like almost like you're peeling away layers. And I do layered art journaling and layered creative exercises, so that within the layers that we are putting down, we unravel the layers in the emotional self. So you unpack yourself while you are layering your creative work, and that's just really beautiful. Yeah.
And it is very powerful work. The importance of being creative is to activate our right brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where that comes from.
Yeah.
So when we do that, you know, first we're reflecting, and then we're asking ourselves the questions, and then we're just letting our imagination take over, because when we're doing that, our left brain has to quiet down, because we're so used to being logical that we are losing connection with our own soul self. And that's where right brain has to happen, because if you can't imagine it, then it's never going to happen.
Yeah. And that is also why it's so important for women in business to keep their creativity alive, you know, because women in business, they can push themselves really hard, and they can push themselves very easily to overwhelm and burnout and all those kind of, you know, emotional states. And that is not really healthy either. So to keep the creative side active while you're being in business, that is really, I think that's the best, to keep it in harmony, you know, to keep a harmonious self throughout. And I can actually now feel like sometimes, I mean, at some stages in my work, then I do a lot more left brain activities, and I go like, and I feel the right side craving, you know, and yeah. It's just being in tune with your own emotional self and your feelings. Mm.
It certainly is. And so on the flip side, I mean, we just spoke about someone who felt a little stuck, they're a little lost, and here's how they can climb up and find some passion. What would you say on the flip side to the woman who's multi-passionate about things and can end up losing focus?
Yes.
Because of that.
Yes. So multi-passionate, I'm a multi-passionate. I work with a lot of multi-passionates, and it can be a blessing, and it can be a very big challenge, because of all the things that you could possibly do, and all the things that you would love to do, and all the things that you are interested and curious about, and all that. The multi-passionate woman that wants to start something or do a certain task, and if a hurdle pops up, for instance, and it stops the flow of getting there, like you have a goal, you want to get there, and you're on your way, and something happens on the way, and it makes you come to a halt. So a multi-passionate woman will not stand there and go like, okay, I'm going to push through. She will stop and look around and see all these other things that, oh, but so this might not work. Maybe I'll just do that. And, you know, then it's the wandering off in different directions and actually never really finishing anything to begin with, because every time a little thing pops up, there's this space to explore other options. So that is why I found that planning and goal setting and focus is so important, especially for multi-passionate women that want to create or run a business. You know, because if you're running a business, you really need to plan and you need to stick to your initial goal. It doesn't mean that you cannot be curious to other things, but you need to find focus for the thing that you want to reach. And then if you've reached that particular goal, then of course, then you can reassess and say, hey, maybe I want to explore this a little bit more now. But to actually make something to come to completion, to complete a task or a big thing that you want to create, then yes, focus and planning is an essential part. And that is one of the struggles for multi-passionates. And that is something that I work with a lot with my clients, that, you know, it's accountability. You really need to have accountability. Multi-passionates are very capable people. So often they go the lone wolf way. You know, it's like, oh, I can do it myself. And they often can do a lot of things themselves. But because of that distraction, you really need to have somebody walking with you to keep you on track, to keep you on that path, to make sure that you finish something that you want, that you started. Yeah. So it's a blessing and a challenge at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, because multi-passionate women, they're very cultivated and very smart women, actually. It's just, you know, the creative mind can suffer from the bright, shiny object syndrome is how we call it here.
Yeah.
And yeah, so focus is key. And doing meditation actually helps with focus and visualizations, because there's a centering of focus of what it is that you want for your vision.
Mm.
So that's wonderful, wonderful tips. So is there anything else you'd like to tell the woman who has gotten to the place where she knows the change has to be made, and maybe she's in that process like you were once upon a time, where you had to reinvent yourself, and she has the skills, but she's constantly questioning herself, and now she's at a place where, okay, I think I can do this, but she's hesitating. What else can she do to just grasp her courage to take that first initial step?
Mm-hmm. So if it is just the self-doubt and this, you know, constantly thinking, is this the right thing to do? Talk to people, you know, ask other people. If it is the thing that you're not so sure that this is the right choice that you're making, because there are multiple options that you're considering, you know, then ask others, loved ones, friends, colleagues, neighbors, the three things that they think about when they see you or when they meet you. It's like, what am I? What am I to you? You know, am I inspirational? Am I a hard worker? Am I a loyal person, or whatever, a loyal friend, or things like that? So ask them the three values, if you will, that they have when they see you or when they meet you or because they know you. And ask that from a couple of people, so that you just know what other people feel when they see you. Because often we don't see ourselves the same way, you know. A lot of the things that who we are and how we operate, because it comes from us, you know, we take it for granted the way we are, right? And so, for instance, when I asked that question of my loved ones, they said, oh, you're very determined. And I never really thought that I was a determined person. I thought I was just easygoing, flowing. I am that too, but I am determined. Once I set my mind to something, I really want to get there. So that is one of the things that probably holds me a little bit more connected to my goals. Still, I need a mentor too, you know, I need a guide to to keep me on that path, because I suffer from shiny object syndromes as well, you know. But it's getting to know yourself. So, and if it's self-worth, if it's like, if it's somebody else in your environment that is holding you back from starting, then have a good conversation, an honest conversation. Like I believe in total open honesty. Be open-minded. Don't worry, your brain is not going to fall out, you know. Just be open and have open conversations and be okay to talk. Don't hide. Yeah. And if it's self-doubt, purely self-doubt, talk with a mentor or a guide and explain what your ideas are, and perhaps also ask yourself why. Why are you doubting yourself? What is it? Ask yourself in the mirror. Why am I doubting myself? Look yourself in the eye and try really truthfully to find the answer, because it is there. The answer is there, but you need to be open and honest. I believe in total transparency with relationships with self and with others. It's the only way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sound advice. And as you said, even coaches need coaches. Just because we're coaches doesn't mean we have evolved to the highest limit that there is.
No.
We're
As
still
I said,
learning
I'm
at our level.
always a work in progress. It's, you know,
Yeah,
it would be silly if you think that you're done, you know,
absolutely.
because I'm
And one of
always
the,
curious to learn more. Yeah.
yeah, so am I, curious mind. And one of the wonderful things my coach taught me, which you mentioned, is if you want to understand what your value is, sometimes, like you said, you just don't see in yourself, like someone said you were determined and you didn't see that in yourself, but they did. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you ask the people nearest and dearest to us, hey, give me like top 10 things that you think I'm really good at, or character traits that you really love about me. And I know my clients are a little uncomfortable doing that, but just say your coach wants you to do it, because it's, in my case, it was true. Because we want to see what others see in us that we're just not seeing, and identify, well, why aren't we seeing that? And so that's a huge, it's not just an ego lift. We don't want to inflate our egos. We want to find the confidence and the evidence that really exists. And that's what I do when I have that second guess of myself. I look for evidence that I already accomplished that at some level somewhere in my life. And so that's what that exercise really is about. So thank you for mentioning that to everyone.
It's ridiculous what we tell ourselves in our heads. If you could record what most women say to themselves in their heads, you would say, she's bullying you, you know? But we do it to ourselves all the time, you know, these little voices that tell you all kinds of things. Yeah, try to be open and honest, and don't try to listen to that little nagging voice that just tells you bad stuff about you, because that's not true either, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and they say that that's the brain just trying to protect us, to keep us safe, because we're charting into uncharted territories, you know, and so we feel unsafe about it because we don't know anything better. But when you think about, like you said, for the person who says, I don't have time to do all this mindset stuff, well, how is that working for you right now? I mean, because you're not learning anything new and you're not stepping into uncharted territory. So how are you going to know if it could potentially change?
And it's not something that you have, it's not a pill you take, you know, it's just practice, you know, it's not a drink or whatever. It's not going to do anything harm to your body. It's just a mind practice. It's just something that you can try. It's a safe thing to try out, right? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. There is no danger in it. Because even sitting still in your cocoon doing nothing does not guarantee safety.
No.
That is for sure.
No, because then suddenly there could be an earthquake and then you shake. Yes. Yeah.
Anything could happen. So before we talk about your wonderful free gift that you're offering, is there any other words of wisdom that you would like to offer our audience?
Just accept yourself just how you are. Be flawsome. I love that word. It's like embrace your flaws and be awesome. Just be flawsome. You know, yeah. It's never too late. It's never too early. You're never too thin. You're never too thick. You're never too old or young or whatever. You know, today is the best day to do something about wherever you feel stuck. If you feel stuck, there's only one way out, and that is to step out of it. To step one step at a time, make a move forward. It doesn't have to be fast as long as you move forward. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be alone, and it's never alone, because
Mm.
as we are speaking to women who are listening who want to open up their own business or they're in it already, just understand none of the great leaders, none of the most successful people ever did it alone. They always had some type
We're
of
all
help.
connected. We're energetically actually all connected. Yeah. 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 And it's a beautiful thing. The internet provides all this. Now we can connect from different parts of the world, and we can make a strong female safety net around the world. And I think it's needed. Yes. Mm.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So can you tell us about this gift, this wonderful free goodie you have for everybody?
So this is one of my creative self-inquiry exercises. If you click, I don't know if you've got a button. Have you got a button? There, you can find the link. I don't know my link by heart.
That's okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Is
I'm
that what you
sorry.
meant? Is that
Yes.
what you meant when you asked me if I had a button?
Yeah, like a button
I'm
that
so
they can click. It's all right.
No, I
So
have a zipper. No, yes. There's going to be a link on the email page today.
cool.
So they will be able to have access.
Yeah. So in the link, you will be taken to the place where you can claim this gift. It's a creative, interactive mindset exercise. And so it's a little taster on what you can expect, you know, what the things are that I do, how I use creativity together with mindset work, and you get to do something. I've got videos where I can explain everything, how to do it, and you can create something at the same time. You can open up a layer and go into your self-inquiry. It's called Who Are You? Yeah, it's one of my creative exercises that from my toolbox.
I love self-discovery creative exercises, and I know that's going to be very useful and practical to many
Yeah,
women.
because you
So
can use it all over again. Yeah, you can do it multiple times. Yeah. Mm.
Well, thank you so much, Joyce. I really enjoyed having you, and your wisdom was profound, and I just want to express my gratitude.
Thank you for having me. It's really been really lovely to talk to you and to have this opportunity to share my story with everybody. Yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone.
And you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.